Okay, so boom, y'all already know what time it is. You are now tuned in with Big Joe and Lil Joe, and today gonna be a real good conversation. But before we start, Pops, anything you want to say?
Man, hey everybody, how y'all doing? It's just the same. I always say how much I appreciate it and whatnot. I'm just ready to get it on, man. To have a real vibrant conversation with you, man, and just see where this goes. Right? You always surprise me with the topic, so let's get it on.
Well, I really want to have a conversation about the nature of your relationship with Granddaddy. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like being in the cell with you, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be frank. I could tell you didn't know how to be a father. Like you had to learn as we went. Like certain things, a lot of people think parenting is a natural thing. If you didn't grow up with it, and then nobody show you how to, you know what I'm saying? Because there's no such thing as perfect parenting, but you can tell when somebody has absolutely no idea of really, you know what I'm saying, of how to do things, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to paying attention to your kids, the emotional support, you know what I'm saying, the different things like that. But I also, not only that though, I wanted to talk about how did that affect your relationship with Granddaddy. I don't know how you seen him towards women, how you seen him towards Granny, or I don't know, like watching Granddaddy, or what, like, did you know how to court a woman from watching Granddaddy? Like, what was your experience like being with a woman? Have you ever had an epiphany moment where it was like, I really didn't have nobody to actually show me how to talk to a woman, treat a woman. I didn't have no, you know.
Yeah, I did. I mean, maybe not an epiphany moment, but different times, you know, when I think back in my relationship with your mama or anybody else that I might have been in a relationship, you know, at the time when I was growing up. I know a lot of people might not believe this, but I remember one time my sister was, this is after I got locked up, I'm talking about Chantel, my baby sister. She was like, she thought I had been with a lot of women, you feel me, because I was popular. You know what I'm saying? But like I told her, I said, I've only been with 5 women in my life. You know what I mean? And yeah, because I really was like, didn't know what to say, how to say it. I just winged it. Most of the time, they would be doing the talking to me. And I would just go along with whatever it was, you know what I'm saying, as if I knew what I was doing. But I really didn't know what was going on, man. I can remember a lot of times with in my relationship with your mama, this is before we were married and so on and so forth. I can remember a lot of times in a relationship with her where she would break up with me for whatever reason, right? And I would just sit and cry, you know, when I go home or whatever the case may be, because I really didn't even know what to do. I didn't know how to deal with those types of situations. Nobody, I mean, literally, nobody had talked to me about that. Now, I saw my grandparents, I saw their relationship, and I tried to model what I did after them. But it's different than when you watch somebody as opposed to knowing, and like somebody telling you, you know what I'm saying, giving you tidbits of information and stuff like that. Nobody ever talked to me about a relationship, being in a relationship with a woman. Nobody ever talked to me about how to do that.
Right.
Nobody, just keep it one. I never even had the sex talk, man. You feel what I'm saying?
Me, I didn't never have it either, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why I really wanted to bring this up, because for one, you know, you being locked up, you know what I'm saying, and then Uncle Stevie wasn't around. Like I didn't have no males around. So like even what you said, having the conversation about sex, never had it. Conversation, even when it comes to mama, because mama, you would think a parent, especially the mom, when it comes to dating, you would think every now and then it would come with some kind of tips on how to treat a woman, how to talk to a woman. You know what I'm saying? And you would, as a man, you should be able to have that from the men in your family as well. Like you shouldn't talk to a woman that way. This, you know what I'm saying? This and that. And people, and see, this is the thing. I really want to say this to women. Like a lot of women be so. You be hard on men, or you be frustrated with men, or you don't understand certain things. And a lot of us have not been taught that. Just like when it comes to parenting, like some men are so horrible at being fathers because they've never, and I'm not using that for no excuse to let somebody get off, because at the point you realize, you know what I'm saying, you may be lacking in an area, or somebody done told you how to do something, you need to start listening to what these people are saying. Because like like I done like Simone used to tell me a lot when I first came home, spend more time.
Yeah.
Like certain things she used to say. And I'm thinking, I'm doing great. You know what I'm saying? But I had never had those models to show me that. Like the failure, the failure of my relationships with women, I would contribute probably 85% of that I was not raised in no functioning, healthy relation. I didn't see that. All the men, my family, they talk crazy about women, and vice versa with the women. They talk bad about the men, about how they didn't need the men. So I was just I was wondering, you know what I'm saying, with you watching Granddaddy, you know what I'm saying, how did that affect, you know what I'm saying, how did you think that
watching Daddy was hard because I can remember one time when he had a female friend over at the house. This is after he had gotten out that last time. He had a female friend over at the house, and I was down there, you know, just chilling and watching TV. When he came in with her, they were sitting on the couch talking. When they started kissing, he told me I had to go. Get out. You know what I'm saying? And meaning, look, it's 9 o'clock at night, or it might have been later than that, man. But it's like, get out. You know, go walk around and come back later on. It's like, what's going on, man? I know what they were getting ready to do, but it was like, I wasn't around it. I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see it in my life. The best examples that I had for, you know, what a relationship should be like was my grandparents on both sides. But that was just the outside. I never saw, you know, you don't get to see when they have arguments. And how do they handle issues. I never saw that. I don't know what those intimate conversations were. I never, you know, they don't let you be a part of that. So I never had anybody that talked to me. I never came home and was having a problem with a relationship that I was in and had anybody that I could talk to. I never had that whatsoever, you know what I mean? But a lot of people talk about that kind of stuff today, and it's kind of weird because it's like you watch these influential people on TV, celebrities, whoever, whatever, they're talking about how, you know, we need to be better men and this and that. When they say that, boo, they make the assumption that we know.
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think I know better now.
Right.
Let me keep it 100. I think I know better now.
But see,
I did not know.
I'm a firm believer in making mistakes and lessons can add to you in life, but it also could prolong something you could have had for way before. You know what I'm saying? So when did you? Because you have to learn all of this stuff on your own. Like I can honestly, like I've learned over time this stuff on my own. Like courting women, talking to women, how to treat women. You know, the affection. I didn't grow up with affection. I don't know if you grew up with affection.
I did, but see, you gotta remember though, boo, the most intimate relationship that I had was with mama. You feel what I mean?
Right.
And then after that, it was just me struggling trying to find somebody to fill the gap. You know what I'm saying? And that was hard. I just keep it real. How you gonna develop a intimate bond with somebody when you messed up? And it was just, you know, I know that now. I can use that terminology now, but back then I couldn't have told you. Why does that bother me when Tanya used to say, you know, we breaking up? She was a child too. There ain't no pressure on her. It's no blame towards her. We were both teenagers. You feel what I'm saying? But when she said she didn't want to be in a relationship with me, that messed my head up. Right. It's like, dang. And I patterned a lot of that. I learned a lot of, you know, my responses to women and the things that, you know, might go on in a relationship out of my bad situations. It took me a long time, man. It took me a long time to learn, and I'm just keeping it real. I'm almost ashamed to say it, but on one hand, I'm not. It took me a long time to learn how to treat a woman, and I learned how to treat a woman in here. In here. Yeah. And it's not, I'm not talking about a relationship that I have with a woman in here.
Let me pause you. Let me stop you right there. Because you just said something that a lot of women will not understand when you said I learned it in here. They think most men who locked up is game. You know what I'm saying? When really you develop a different level of maturity when you able to sit down. Like I seen a woman in a comment the other day, and I hope she see this. She was like, I advise women to don't date men who come out of prison. Let me tell you something. There are some great men who come out of prison, great women as well. And a lot of them own businesses, and I ain't saying just because they businessmen makes them great men, but they've come home, they put their life together, they've started great businesses, they take care of their family, they you know what I'm saying, they spiritual, and they are great. And guess what? You'll never know who they are, because it's people who automatically, they have a preconceived notion about you because of where you come from. I've met several people in the mall when I'm doing stuff with my books, and after the conversation, they tell me, they'll whisper in my ear, I did 20 years. But this dude probably owned a construction company. He tell me, I've been married, you know what I'm saying? I've been married 10 years, you know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that actually happens. You learn things in there.
You learn how to, I'm going to speak for me and a lot of other people that I know. I learned how to respect another human being, period.
Yeah.
I learned that, and that has taught me to value when somebody chooses to be with me in this way, because it ain't no sex, man. You understand what I'm talking about? So a person that has chosen to be with me in this way, I respect that to the fullest.
Right.
And I see, I could see that person, but before, not because I didn't want to, not because I didn't want to see it, I just did not understand the value of it, the preciousness in it. I just didn't see that, man. And a lot of women believe, let me say this real quick, a lot of women believe, like when you involved in a relationship with someone, whether you're a teenager or a young adult or a mature adult, they take for granted that we know and that we understand because we have lived a certain amount of years and so on and so on and had a certain amount of experience. That, if you have the wrong experiences, you're going to have the wrong outcomes, man. And I had a lot of experiences that were not explained to me in detail. My uncle, man, Squeaker, love him. He was there for me. You understand what I'm saying? When Pops wasn't. But me and Unc never had those types of talks, man. One person that I value more almost than anybody else, we never had those kind of talks. Why? Never came up. Never came up. Well, I don't know why. I can't tell you why. You know what I mean?
I wanna get Auntie input on this, man. I'm gonna add. Let me try to call Auntie. Hold on one second. I'm gonna get my Auntie on here. You know what I'm saying? Cause I want to hear her. You know what I'm saying? Cause a lot of this stuff affected me later on in life. I can't speak for everybody else. You know what I'm saying, about your parents or how to affect your relationships or whatever. But I want to try to add my Auntie in here real quick. Hey, Auntie, man, I just want to let you know what I'm saying, we recording right now. I got Pops on here, man. We having a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
What up, bro? What up? All right now. How you doing?
For everybody, you know what I'm saying, this my Auntie Shooter, you know what I'm saying? This my go-to, you know what I'm saying, when it come to relationships and when it come to, you know what I'm saying, getting familiar with women. And my Auntie, we having a conversation about how your relationship with Granddaddy, how did that affect your relationship with men? Like, I don't even know where you want to jump in there, because I know you got, like for the women who don't realize, I don't even want to use the term daddy issues, but like how did it affect you as a woman when it comes to your relationship with Granddaddy? With
oh my goodness. Okay, well, even though, sometimes people don't want to use that term, that we have daddy issues. But in my opinion, that actually exists because your dad is the first man that you encounter once you're born. And when you have that void, if it's not there, then it will create some type of feelings that as you're younger, you may not even realize. And so for me, it was growing up, my thing was because Dad and I had such a strained relationship. I didn't want to deal with a man that was like him. Right. I didn't want to deal with a man that was like him. I didn't want to deal with a guy that had any kind of mannerism that existed from him. So a lot of times we seem to judge men by what we don't want because of what we didn't have from our fathers. Now, that may not hold true to all women, but that's what held true to me. And there's been several women that I have talked to that, friends and just women that I associate with. And when we have these conversations, that's what really kind of comes to light. You don't want a man like your father, but then some kind of way, 9 times out of 10, you end up with a man similar to your father. held true for me. I didn't want one like him, tried very hard not to have one like him, but ended up with one like him. And the crazy part about that is I was in the longest relationship with the guy that was more similar to him than any man that I had been with.
Right. So let me ask you this, now when you said you try to do the complete opposite because of whatever the dynamics of the relationship with Granddaddy, you tried to basically choose the complete opposite man, correct?
The complete opposite.
And so when did you realize, even in the men that you chose, you found yourself either looking or trying to fill the void, trying to find a piece of, I guess, of Granddaddy?
You know what? I think it happened without me kind of knowing. Because, you know, take for instance my first husband, or what my standards were. My standards were everything opposite of my dad. It was like, I want a guy that, you know, he's college educated, he's clean cut, you know, he's more book sense than street sense. And, you know, just wasn't from the street. You know, Daddy was from the street. I didn't want no guy from the street, you know, and so that's what I went looking for, thinking that that's what I was going to fare with better than what, you know, than what he was. That relationship, you know, it didn't last long. Second guy, I was like, okay, well, you know, the college grad, he didn't work out for me. Let me, you know, then I met a guy, you know, he was, you know, good guy, but, you know, he wasn't college educated, but, you know, he was in school to become a journeyman plumber. Oh, okay, well, you know, don't have to really be college educated, because what you're being trained to do, you're going to make more than a man that, you know, that's in college. And it wasn't all about the money, but, you know, I did want someone that could provide for me, you know, that, you know, and that didn't necessarily come from Daddy, that came from Granny.
Right.
You know, Granny and Auntie Johnny, you know, they schooled me when it came to a man, what a man was supposed to do for me as being a provider. You know, Granny, that was like, if he can't pay all the bills, you don't need it. So I never had a man that could not pay all the bills.
Right.
Now, not that I didn't contribute, but I didn't need to pay the major bills. And, you know, the major bills was, you know, mortgage or rent, car note, insurance. You know, I pitch in, you know, maybe help with the water bill, help with the light bill, you know, help with the groceries. So that was the main thing. So, and you know, and Daddy was a good provider.
Right.
So then we come to the third guy. He wasn't nothing but Daddy. In every sense of the word. He was a hustler. He was from the street. He did not finish high school, even though Daddy finished high school. And then it was so crazy because he had mannerisms just like Daddy. It was times I would look at this dude and he would be holding his head like Daddy. And I think that's why I held on to the relationship as long as I did. Because the relationship was toxic as what? Right. But again, longest relationship that I had. First marriage, 1 year and 1 month. Second marriage, 7 years. I was with this dude for 16 years. And at the end of it, I had to come to the realization that one of the reasons why I probably held on to the relationship a little bit longer is because he reminded me so much of my dad.
Wow.
And he filled that void that I missed. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like my dad. And so it just, you know, it kind of came full circle for me. But you know what was toxic is probably the most toxic relationship I had. And I had to get rid of it.
So
but I also had to realize where they came from too.
Yeah, that's heavy right there. Man, I got a question. Daddy.
Yeah, I'm here.
Matter of fact, commercial break me real quick, please, man. If y'all ain't tuned in to my daddy podcast, man, go check out his podcast. It's called Doing Time with Joe. And if you can't find it, I got a link to it in the description of my YouTube page. Go to the description. You're gonna see it right under the title. You're gonna see it where it say Doing Time with Joe. And what? Let me ask you. I really got a question for both of y'all. I know we probably gonna be pressed for time. Probably gonna cut off on Daddy. We can call back. But Daddy, so let me ask y'all both this. What are some of the things? What is something about Granddaddy that you realize you had inherited from him that you know affected you in your relationship, that you realize, okay, now he moved like it or he did that and you had to correct it?
Okay, let me answer it like it. I'll go first, sis. Let me answer it like this. It wasn't, what I inherited from Daddy that I had to correct. This is what I think affected me the most about Pops, right? It was what I was told about him, not what I knew about him. You feel what I'm saying? When I figured out who my daddy really was, man, it was kind of like something that you had said to me a while ago. And I'm not gonna paraphrase, so correct me if I'm wrong a little bit on this, right? But basically, you said that nobody ever told you that I made good grades in school and I was smart, this and that. See, in passing, I heard that. You feel me? But mostly what I heard about Daddy, what I saw out of him was street. But when I learned about him, and Daddy didn't open up to me, man, and this breaks me up just even thinking about it. Daddy really didn't open up to me about who he was until I got put in heaven. I never really knew him until I got put in heaven. I thought I did, but mostly what I knew about Daddy was what I was told about him, or what I might have seen in passing the street, because he never would let me be around. If I come around and they were doing something, he'd make me leave. You feel what I'm saying? But the stuff that everybody said about him, it fascinated me. When they used to take us to the prison to see him, I'm looking around. I remember Chantel might be sitting on his left and Steve would be sitting there looking around, but I'm fascinated with the environment. I'm looking like my dad is, what is this? You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't fear, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't fear at all. It was just that I would look at him and I didn't know him. But what I fashioned in my mind and what people told me about him, I created an image of somebody that wasn't real, and I tried to live up to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So mine is kind of twofold because Tommy, he came from and I don't want to, dad bash, because, I think the biggest thing about Daddy was Daddy had a big heart. And then in my last guy did too. Big heart helped give you his last dime shirt off his back. But I'm going to say one of the things that I feel like was a very good trait that all of us inherited from him was that hustle.
Of course.
But the correction came to hustle legally. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you have that hustle entrepreneur
Spirit.
mentality,
Yeah,
and I feel like all of us inherited that.
Right.
Like that. Let me go. You know what I'm saying? Let me go. Let me do mine. And look at what all of us are doing now. We all went an entrepreneur path down to his grandkids. So that was a good trait he had, but he used his, and I think what the lesson in it is, he used his hustle illegally. And so he left for us his legacy to, hey, look, this you can still have that hustle, but I just need you to do it the right way.
And that's why I asked that question, because it's so many people out here who don't. A lot of people grow up saying, I don't want to be like my parents, talking about some of the aspects that they didn't agree with, or they didn't like, or they lacked, or they didn't have. And some people don't realize you grow up and you are just like them, and you didn't make those
changes. You can't get away from it.
And that's why I asked the question in asking, because I want people to listen to this and ask, what are some of those things I used to say I didn't want to be like my mom, or I didn't want to be like my dad, and you have not even realized that you're carrying that right now. So I was asking the question in the aspect of, what are some of the things you realize, but that is, and Auntie, when you were saying, you know what I'm saying, the hustle, that's the same thing. I can say those things. I heard about Pops, like Daddy said, never got to see it for myself. Even when I got around my dad, like, I can see that entrepreneur spirit that you're talking about. But you know what I'm saying, in certain things I'm watching, I'm able to take that step back and say, I love my dad to death. I'll be like him through and through. This right here, I got to change for Samaria. This right here, I was able to get in front of it. You know what I'm saying? This right here, I got to change. Not calling granddad, that's my dog. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to get people to see, you know what I'm saying, what are some things that you know you might be a reflection of that you can change today.
Right, but I think one of the, and I don't even know if you're aware of this, Boo, but I think one of the most powerful things that he did when he knew that he was dying. Tyler, did you still have your letter that Daddy wrote us?
Yeah, I read it the other day.
And what it was, he left instructions for each of us, for each of his kids, because he saw in us something that we did not see in ourselves.
1 minute remaining.
And that was powerful. And you keep that in the back of your mind, and you try to live by that, because those were his last words, and those were his last wishes. And like I said, it was definitely a powerful thing, and I think that it's something that we can kind of get into.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to interrupt you real quick. I'm gonna have to call back real fast.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my auntie.
Thank you for using GTL.
This auntie shooting, man. Like this my homie. Like I know y'all gonna enjoy. The dialogue from my auntie. And we actually gonna start doing something separate. But outside of me and Pops, so y'all will be able to. If y'all got any questions, especially from a woman perspective, when it comes to dating, different things you want to understand about men, any of that, me and my auntie, we gonna get on here, man. And we're going to chop it
Hello,
up.
this is a prepaid call from
Joe.
An inmate at the Tennessee Department of Corrections, DeBerry Special Needs Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is 41 cents. This call is from a correction facility to monitoring and recording.
Hello.
Thank you for using GTL.
All right, then.
Yeah, I think it's probably low. It's probably low on the money though. But go ahead and say.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let me say this too, man. One thing about what I got from Pops that I really love, other than the hustle part, right? Because I don't beat myself up about this no more. I'm very emotional. I didn't even realize how emotional I was, but I get that from him. And I know dad'll start crying for nothing. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Right.
I got that from him. And sometimes, I could be watching something on TV and it'll touch me. Yeah. And the tear roll down my face. And I think about him now. I don't hide that.
Yeah, I got that.
I thought that was weak.
I got that as well.
I mean?
I got that as well.
I know you do.
Yeah, I got it.
I know you do. There ain't no way you can't.
Uncle Squeaker used to point it out to me all the time. Like certain things I would say or do.
But Stevie got it the worst. Stevie got it the worst. I probably got it the less.
Yeah.
Because I've been really good at, I never wanted people to see my vulnerability. And then, I had to, learn as I got older that it was okay for men to cry, because then it was just like, I'm like, dude, what are you crying for?
Yeah.
And you always kind of grew up and heard, men are not supposed to cry. But as I got older, I realized that is a good thing, because it speaks to the character of the person you are as a man. And so, and that's another thing. So then, as I, got into relationships or whatever, I would look for that. How vulnerable as a man will you allow yourself to be with me? Exactly, because then if you're not going to allow yourself to be vulnerable in our relationship, that's really not a relationship or a person that I want to be in a relationship with, because I know what that means. If you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable, that means you're hiding. You're hiding a part of you.'t even giving all of you to that
60
person.
Seconds
well, look,
remaining.
Pops, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up anyway. We'll pick back up on it.
We'll do a part 2.
You got something you want to say real quick, Daddy?
Yeah. Hey, look, I love this. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
But look, again, like I said, everybody out there, listen to what's being said on this episode right here. This is some phenomenal stuff. I appreciate you doing it. I appreciate you jumping in this thing. I love y'all. And I love all y'all out there that's listening. Peace, y'all.
Hey, if you finna call back, Dad, if you finna call back, give me like 5-10 minutes.
I got you.
All right, love it.
All right, love
but yeah, Auntie.
Yeah.
Before we end this,
thank you for using GTL.
Before we end this, I got one more question, because you just said something I want to, for the women, because you said you knew what vulnerability looks like because you seen Granddaddy in that state. Now,
I saw him in that state, but I tried to be the opposite of that. So when people do not allow themselves to be vulnerable, I know exactly what that means. You're hiding something. And it's not that you have secrets. is that you're not giving all of you to the person that you're in a relationship with. Because how could you not allow somebody to see you at your worst,
right.
to see you vulnerable? Because sometimes you can be vulnerable and not even have to be at your worst.
Right.
But in order for you to be vulnerable with the person that you're in a relationship with, you have to trust them. So that was the thing. I didn't trust. I wasn't trusting in my relationships because I wasn't allowing that. But Daddy was. He was so trustworthy of people. He allowed people to see this is who I am, and he wasn't ashamed of it. He wasn't. He was top dog in the street, but he wasn't ashamed to let his boys that he hung out with, and he hung out with the best.
Right.
He wasn't afraid to let them see him cry.
That's
he
real.
wore his heart on his sleeve. But Granny always told me I had a poker face,
That's real, man. That's real. I hope that, man, ladies, I really want y'all to hear that. You know what I'm saying? When a man ain't sharing that vulnerable side, he hadn't.
Watch out.
Yeah. He hadn't. But yeah, man, it's been a great episode, man. Y'all gonna hear more from me and Auntie. Like I said, if y'all got any comments regarding relationship stuff, you know what I'm saying? Cause me and my Auntie, we dig in. So a lot of that stuff y'all hear me talk about and the questions I be asked, listen to me and Auntie chop it up, and I just be, you know what I'm saying? So y'all jump in the comment section, man. We're gonna get Auntie rolling. Pop's calling me back now, man. Auntie, I appreciate it. I love y'all. Hit you back when I'm through talking. All right now.
All right. Okay.
Y'all take it easy.